Garajoba. My name is Sorella Moore and welcome to this Finance and Freedom channel. I'm sure there is no doubt in your mind that money has some sort of effect on our mental state. And by the end of this video, you're going to be absolutely gobsmacked to find out what science is saying about how money impacts our minds. In this video, I'm going to be sharing some insane ways on how money literally changes the way your brain works, and oftentimes it's not for the better. After this, I bet that you are not going to look at money the same way again. Before I begin this video, if you are brand new here, make sure you subscribe. You are going to love being in this community. We put out videos every Tuesday and Thursday, and they are pretty valuable. They put a focus on finance and freedom, which I think a lot of people should have a focus on. If you prioritize anything in life, you're going to get great results from it. So make sure that you do subscribe. And if you find value from this video, please make sure that you like this video as well. It helps us getting the message of finance and freedom out into the world. Secondly, we have an incredible newsletter written by Leon, the co-founder of Abundantia. Beautifully written stories which are educating you at the same time. So fun to read. So make sure you subscribe, link in the bio. And then lastly, we have launched the pre-sale of our course membership combo on all things finance and freedom. So if you want to get access to that for a huge discount for lifetime access, there is a link in bio to find out more. Recently, I put out a poll on the community tab on this channel asking the question, does money, either having it or not having it, seriously affect your mental state? Over 11,000 people responded to this question. 84% of people said yes, it seriously affects their mental state. Now, I'm sure you're not surprised by this figure. I think all of us can say for ourselves that it affects us to some degree. But I wanted to find out a little bit more, how much does it actually affect us? And is there any scientific evidence to prove that it does affect us greatly? What I found was pretty intense. The society that we live in right now is very much dictated by cash. Money is king, essentially. Without money, you can't really do anything, and most people always just have enough to survive. We're also told that you're not as valuable if you don't have as much money. We glamorize people that do have money. And of course, this kind of a society and this much pressure on the object of cash itself is of course going to affect the society and our own mental state in quite significant ways. And the ways that I found were quite intense. If you find this very valuable, please share it with people so that they don't think that they're crazy. Sharing this information with the world, share it on your socials, get it out to your friends, just so they are aware of what they are dealing with. Once you are aware of something that controls you, it's a lot easier to catch it so it doesn't take you down a spiral. So this is why it's important for people to know about this information. Also, I think this video topic is perfectly suited for the sponsor that we have today. Thank you, Betterhelp, for sponsoring this video. Is there something that's interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? I think this is a human condition. I'm certainly experiencing a bit of this myself. A lack of a purpose is causing me to have some inner turmoil. Betterhelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating within 48 hours. This is not a crisis line. This is not self-help. This is professional counseling done securely online. There's a broad range of expertise in Betterhelp's 15,000 plus network of counselors that might not be available in many areas. The service is available for clients worldwide, and you are able to log in online at any time and send a message to your counselor. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule your phone calls or video calls so you don't have to sit in uncomfortable waiting rooms as happens with traditional therapy. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches so they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. It is more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available. BetterHelp wants you to live a happier life today. Visit betterhelp.com/amor, that is better HELP, to join over 1 million people taking charge of their mental state with the help of experienced professionals. Spending money is literally painful. The first fact about money's effect on our mind is in relation to how we process spending money. There was a study done by MIT in 2001 when they wanted to test people's willingness to spend cash, whether with card or physical cash. The study wanted to check if there was any difference of the willingness to pay for things with either card or cash, and if there was any psychological differences between these two methods of payment. What they found was, yes, of course, people are much more willing to spend money on card rather than physical cash, because I think physical cash actually represents cash, when sometimes if you have a card, I think you are detached from the idea that that is money. This is probably the reason why so many people are in credit card debt, because it feels like they're not playing with real money. But that's not the point I wanted to focus on in this video. What I wanted to focus on was the psychological responses that they were able to record when people were paying for different items, whether on card or cash, and they were reading the brainwaves of the participants in the study. What they found was that whenever someone was paying for things, especially with cash, the pain processing regions of the brain actually lit up. The crazier part of the study is that they even recorded that the pain processing regions of the brain were activated when people were anticipated paying for something. They call this the pain of paying. This is the exact same region of the brain that lights up whenever we have psychological pain. For example, we're experiencing panic, or we break up with someone that we love, or any other negative emotions that we might be feeling, or when we're paying for things. This happens no matter how we pay for anything, whether it's bank transfer or using card, but the highest level of activation in this brain region happen whenever we're paying for things with cash, or think about spending cash. Now, this is a little bit uncomfortable of a truth because it just shows how much money has a hold of us in our minds. I think this is where there's a bit of concern, because we hold money in such a high regard that we are causing ourselves pain, literal actual pain, just by the thought of participating and parting with finances. And so I think this is where it gets a little bit uncomfortable for me when I see TV reality stars or celebrities that are just there to glamorize having cash or glamorize being rich, because no matter how immune you think you might be from not caring about cash or loving cash, it just seems like we're quite hardwired in order to love money. I don't personally think that there's anything wrong with having a desire to have cash, but when you hold it so highly that you think that it is going to bring you so much pleasure and everything will be fine just from having the act of having money, like you're in a bit of a doo-doo, because it's not true. Money can bring you a level of comfort, but it does not bring you ultimate happiness at all. Money can make life a lot easier, but it can also cause a lot of pain. And we just think that money is going to solve all our problems, and having excess amounts like these celebrities are showing us is what we should be striving for. And that's probably causing a lot of pain for a lot of individuals around the world. Poverty makes your brain perform worse. I am certain that you've been in a situation where you've been close to lacking funds. I certainly have been there. I think everybody has been there. That's kind of life sometimes. You probably noticed around this time that life just got a little bit harder, especially if you were close to having to pay some very important bills. The thing is, you're not imagining it. This is actually true. According to science, your brain will perform worse when there are pressures of finances just around the corner. There is a study from 2013 that wanted to find out exactly how the lack of money and financial pressures was going to impact the brain's performance. There were two groups that were targeted in these surveys. One was American shoppers from New Jersey. The second group was farmers from Tamil Nadu in India. For the American group, they induced the feeling of not having enough cash by asking certain questions. For example, they'd ask the questions of, how would you pay for an emergency car repair, and similar questions of that sort. Following these questions, they then wanted to find out how the person's IQ was tracking, so they would give them very simple spatial and reasoning tasks to complete. For the American group, when they tested the people that were wealthy in this group, they actually found out that there wasn't much of a difference in the performance of their mind whenever they were asked with these questions that were invoking a lack of having cash, because subconsciously, these wealthy people, they knew that they were safe. But when it came to the people that didn't have as much wealth in the American category, they found that there was a huge discrepancy between how they were performing prior and after the test. Their IQ dropped by a really big amount. The mind was performing worse in these cognitive tasks because it was preoccupied with the anxiety that it had just been forced into through those questions that were asked. So they weren't performing as well. But then let's also look at the farmers in India, the sugarcane farmers. How were they able to perform around different times of the year? Because in India, just before the harvest time, in farmers' terms, there are two very important times of the year. One is just before harvest and one is just after harvest. Very different situations that the farmers are in. 1 month before, they are still lacking from the crops from last year and they don't have much in their bank accounts at that time. So they perform the tests, similar cognitive tests that they did with the American group around this time, and then also 1 month after the harvest. What they found was a huge difference between these two times. The exact same tasks were being asked just before harvest when they didn't have much funds. They performed significantly worse than after they had funds in their account and they were feeling much more secure financially. Now the difference between how they reacted during these 2 times was significant in terms of IQ testing. It was around 9 to 10 points difference in the IQ test depending on the time that they were asked these questions. 9 to 10 points of IQ difference is really significant. It is the same amount of a drop that people experience if they haven't slept at all throughout the night. It makes your brain perform very, very poorly. The thing is, these farmers, they were living this kind of a state day to day, in and out all the time. It wasn't just a one night off that they weren't able to sleep properly. Like, we've all experienced it. You went out drinking too long and you didn't sleep properly. These farmers were living this day to day. Of course, this is going to cause a lot of problems in society because one of the things that we need to perform at our best is a well-performing mind. And your mind can't be performing well if it doesn't have the optimal conditions behind it. So it just shows that, people in the low economic space, they are not only held back by the fact that they don't have enough finances to help them get ahead, but also the lack of finances might be impeding their ability to succeed because their mind is not operating at an optimal level. Money is a substitute for love. You might think that there is nothing in the world that substitutes the feeling of love. It's a really beautiful idea. However, science shows that that's not true. In one study, science has shown that we are very happy substituting love for money because we hold it in such high regard. Now, love can have a profound effect on our ability to endure pain. For example, physical pain. There have been studies that have had people put their hand into boiling water, not hot enough to hurt, but hot enough that it's quite uncomfortable. And when they had someone standing next to them that was someone that they loved, they were able to endure a lot more pain than if that person wasn't standing there, which is a beautiful idea of how much love can help us get through life much better and ease the suffering. Love, on some level, from some sort of a source, is something that we all need as humans in order to live a happy and fulfilled life. However, there was also a study done in China. Sun Yat-sen University in China wanted to put this to the test and figure out if our tolerance to pain was able to be dealt with better through the use of money. In this study, they also asked people to put their hands in boiling water, and prior to this experiment, they either were given a stack of money to hold or a random stack of paper. The students that were holding the money were overwhelmingly able to deal with the hot water for longer periods of time than the people that were just holding the stack of paper. Also, interestingly, they didn't have to be holding the money at the time when the experiment was done. Furthermore, the study also showed that the length of time that you had the money power was much longer lasting than when you had a loved one standing next to you. On average, people had of the feeling of feeling very powerful. And even further, the students that were reminded about them holding money even experienced less pain afterwards than when they initially had it. Just a reminder of holding money. One of the researchers actually said that this was a very sad idea that money gave us so much power. And why was it that we felt so much stronger about money than we did about love? It is a bit of a sad idea. So what was it in the end? A lot of people reflected that they just felt very powerful and strong whenever they had the money. And of course, this again shouldn't be really a surprise that money, or the perception of having a lot of money, gives us a lot of strength, because we do value people that have money so much higher than people that do not have money. We think that they somehow are more powerful or stronger, and so having that for a split second, even if it's not yours, you feel a lot more powerful having it. The thing where this gets a bit twisted is that it's not really true at all. It is ultimately a piece of paper. It is simply a tool of exchange. It is simply an energetic exchange. It shouldn't hold this much weight. It doesn't make you a better person if you have an excess of cash. It absolutely changes nothing about you on the inside. It is only through work and experience and life experience and giving back that you can become a better human, not just by having a stack of paper. But unfortunately, in society, this is not how we view things. We think that people with more money are somehow more valuable to us. Lacking money ruins your sleep and your health. Lastly, and probably a little bit obviously, lack of money causes you to have worse sleep. A determining factor of a person's health is actually how well they are able to sleep. We need it to function properly. We need to have really, really good sleep. And it's not just the length of time, but it is the quality of sleep. There's data that came from the State of America's Sleep, which has determined who are the best sleepers and the worst sleepers in America. There were, of course, different variables tested as to why someone might be sleeping better or worse, but one of the big data points was money. According to the study of 2,000 people, the people that were financially quite set and secure were able to sleep better. The quality of sleep was much better, therefore their health was a lot better compared to the people that had financial stress. They were not sleeping very well at all. In the category of bad sleepers, more than half of the people were living paycheck to paycheck. And more than 2/3 of the people in the bad sleep category said that they had stress around their financial future. There is a lot of studies around sleep these days, thank goodness, that they have highlighted the importance of really, really good sleep for people. So now we're no longer glamorizing sleeping only 2 to 3 hours of poor quality sleep. They have said that sleep is one of the most important things in ensuring your overall performance, making sure that mentally you're switched on. Also, having sufficient quality sleep decreases your risk of getting just about every disease out there. So having really good sleep is extremely important, which is very bad news for those people in the low socioeconomic category of society. This video sounds pretty horrible. I kind of get it. A lot of people watching this are still not in a category of finances where they want to be. And there are a lot of people around the world that are suffering when it comes to finances. So this video doesn't probably come across the nicest, but being aware of these things and how money plays with your mind is super important in order for you to regain control of your mind as much as possible. And if you see yourself slipping, it could be because you're being controlled and played with by finances. So keeping a very small, tight, narrow window on what you're doing. And also, when you don't have much money, you can still be in control of your cash if you learn how to budget properly, if you learn how to not be swayed by advertising to get rid of more cash. This is why it just shows the importance of being in control of your finances. It cannot control you, it cannot run you. You have to do whatever is in your power in order to be in control. So stick to those budgets really strongly and get yourself the 3 to 6 months of financial security of the emergency fund and start saving and investing for yourself. I don't know your situation. I don't know where you're at. I don't know how strong of a desire you have to change your situation, but that's what you really need, a really strong desire to change your financial situation. There are so many online resources free to give you the opportunity to change your financial situation. You can do this. I believe in you, but it's down to you putting in the work and figuring it out and not giving up until the situation changes. This is why the channel is here, because we want to help you to have finance and freedom. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you like and subscribe. We would love to have you here, and please like and comment down your favorite section down below. I'm always interested in hearing from you. Your comments also help us to make sure that we are tailoring the information as much as possible to you, because again, this channel is for you. Also, if you're interested in finding out about our course membership combo that we have for lifetime access for a huge discount, check that out, link in the bio, and I will see you in the next one.